What if there was a safe space for you to explore artificial intelligence? What if there was a team of friendly professionals waiting to help you examine what you can do with AI in your courses? Welcome to the world of what if. What we're going to be covering today is how to create instructional materials quick and painlessly using artificial intelligence. So what I'm going to do is start from scratch. I have a few things that I saved just for the sake of time that I'll use as demonstrations. Others I'm going to create from the beginning and show you how you can sit down and overcome that blank page syndrome. Now, what's blank page syndrome? You know your topic, you're a subject matter expert, you know your field, and you're trying to create material for a course. Here's the challenge. It's all in your head, and you want to get it on the page. And there's something about staring at a blank page that makes it hard to start. So I'm going to show you how you can use ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot and Google's NotebookLM to rapidly create these materials. So without any more delay, let's play. The first thing I do whenever I start dealing with ChatGPT is I break the ice. What do I mean by that? I ask it if it's familiar with a thing. Do you know what this thing is? Before I even tell it what I want. Because half the journey is about, did you ask the question? So let's say we need to create a module on quantitative and qualitative research. We're creating this initially for a graduate course. I will start with, are you familiar with qualitative and quantitative research as it relates to higher education? I give it that simple prompt. And from giving it that prompt, it starts giving me an answer. The answer generally is going to be yes, and it'll give you a brief overview of those topics. The reason I do this is it helps ChatGPT focus on what the thing is you want it to help you with and talk about next, instead of it trying to guess from everything else in the world. The more specific you are, the more effective the results will be. So from here, I've decided, okay, it understands what these materials are. I need to create some curriculum for my course. Now, I could just tell it, give me some curriculum, but instead, I want to tell ChatGPT what role to play. And when I think about the role, this is something that it brings in a little bit of creativity. Ask yourself, in the perfect scenario, who would help you with this? If what we're doing is creating curriculum, we need a curriculum developer. But this is Florida Atlantic University. We don't need just any curriculum developer. We need a world-class curriculum developer. We need someone that's the best of the best, that's fully experienced and a veteran in the field to give us the most innovative things we can get and give us things that are going to save us time. Because the whole point of using AI is so that you're not spending hours and days and months trying to get something done. So I'm going to tell ChatGPT who it is. This prompt I already have set up here. There's the are you familiar with? And then my next prompt is this one. I'm going to copy and paste it and let you read it there. The prompt reads as following. You're a world-class curriculum and instruction developer. You've helped universities all over the world by providing innovative, creative, and engaging solutions that do not cause the instructors to have to spend exorbitant amounts of time to implement. I would like to present you with challenges that professors face, and you suggest solutions in your classically brilliant manner. Are you up for it? Now, the reason I phrase it like I'm talking to a person is so that it responds to me like it is a person. Why do I want that? Because if what it gives me is dry, mechanical, and I'm going to give that to my students, it's a waste of time. I then have to rewrite all of it to make it make sense to the students. So this sets the tone and the pace. I've told ChatGPT who you are, and now it's going to play that role. I've told it what it's done, so now it's not going to give me solutions in a generic fashion. It's going to give me solutions as though it was a veteran and has done this before. The reason I end with a question, are you ready? Do I make sense? Do you understand? Are you up for it? Is because if there are any flaws in my prompt, it will say, I'll be ready as soon as you tell me this or this, or I need this information from you first. And it allows me to see if my prompt was clear before I continue. So let's say yes, send that in, and here it goes. It says, absolutely, challenge accepted. Bring on the real world problems, and I'll bring the clever, time-saving, student-centered solutions. Whether it's course redesign, tech integration, engagement woes, assessment headaches, or anything else keeping instructors up at night, I've got your back with practical strategies that don't require hours of extra prep for a PhD in wizardry to pull off. What's the first challenge? Let's make some magic. I like that. Now I don't even feel so daunted and intimidated by it. It actually makes it sound like we're about to do something fun. So I think we should do something fun. We talked about qualitative and quantitative research. I'm going to say I have to create a module in a graduate course that is focused on qualitative and quantitative research. The module is 2 weeks long. For this one, let's do our modality initially as a fully online one. The modality is fully online asynchronous. This will be the first exposure that these students will have to this material. Please create for me a brief outline of the module. Here's the prompt. And now it's going to go ahead and start producing the information. Perfect. Let's create a 2-week module that introduces graduate students to qualitative and quantitative research in an engaging, digestible, and online-friendly way. Since it's their first exposure, the key goals will be familiarity, confidence, and clarity, with low cognitive load and high engagement. Here's a brief outline of your 2-week, fully online asynchronous module. And let's see what it gave us. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit. Module title, duration, module goals. By the end of this module, students will be able to distinguish between qualitative and quantitative research, identify appropriate research methods for specific research questions, critically evaluate basic research designs and data types, and reflect on how these methods might apply to their own field of study. Week 1, it gives us the topics, suggested learning materials, an optional podcast or 2 to find, activities for them to do, and then it goes into week 2. Now, these materials don't exist. We only have an outline, but we can ask it to help us generate these materials. As we go through and we see everything that's in here, it asks, do you want me to draft up the videos, the infographics, or quiz questions? I'm going to say, let's go back up and find a topic here. I'm going to ask it to give me this short reading. So I'm just going to highlight the 500 to 700 quant versus cal friendly comparison. And I'm going to say, please draft the prose. I say prose because I want it to write out the paragraphs for me. And then I'm going to hit paste. The short reading. With that friendly comparison. and I'm going to hit send. And it will actually start drafting that for me. Now, I don't recommend you ever take work that AI has created and hand it naked to your students or to anyone else. Always go back, read it, verify that it actually makes sense, and customize it and personalize it to what you want it to be. To have AI write something and hand it in to a student, or as a student to hand it in to a teacher, you're asking to fail the assignment. Your students will read and go, this was written by ChatGPT. My professor is not really putting in the work. Professors will go, the student, you did something with ChatGPT. You didn't even bother doing the work. We don't want AI to replace a human being. And the use of your brain is the one thing that gives you an edge over everything else on the planet. If you start taking the one thing that makes you, you, and hand it over to a computer, what are we doing here? So let's look at the material it gave me and see what we can do with it, not let's just take it and hand it to somebody. It has examples. It gives the pros of quantitative, the limitations, and then goes into qualitative and does the same thing, and then gives you the power of both. Now, for the sake of time, because I want y'all to have playtime, I want you to be able, online and in here, to pop open the laptop and dive into these things. I'm just going to take this one collection of text and move into how we turn this into material for a course. So I love what it gave me here. There's a lot I can do with it. I can work on it. I'm going to simply go down here and copy it. And then I'm going to go to my next tool, which is NotebookLM. This is a tool created by Google. It's still in what we would call beta. It's not an actual full service right now, but they have a lot of features you can use. The web address is just notebooklm.google. I'm going to create a new notebook, and I'm going to choose under paste text and take the text it gave me and paste it here. The absolutely, which is its beginning response, I'm taking that out. And here's our text. Insert goes over here in NotebookLM where we have three areas. The first area are the sources. What NotebookLM does is read the sources, analyze them, give you a brief summary in the middle, give you access to other things you can do with it. I'm going to go ahead and click the generate button here, and in a couple of minutes, I'm going to actually play some audio it created there. But having this summary lets me go to this file and ask questions of it. For instance, if I say, which research method, I'll zoom in a bit so you can see that, is best for assessing student learning. I'm asking a question that it will search the document to try to find. And it will answer from the information that was in my text. Notice the ones, the fours, the twos here. When it gives you an answer, if you roll over it, it will actually quote that part of your document to tell you where the answer came from. And you can click on that number and it will scroll to that area and highlight which information it was using. So NotebookLM is a study tool that helps you get a deeper understanding more quickly of something that might be a complicated topic. Over here on the right, it's generating the audio. That'll take a minute, but there's a study guide here. So if you had a text you had to read, a document, a research article you had to download, you can just come over here and click study guide, and it will actually give you a guide based on that information. When I pop that guide open, and I'm going to zoom in so that it's readable, it actually wrote quiz questions for me. So if you think you know this material, you feel like you've read it, you got a good grasp of it, but you want to know if you really have a deep understanding, you've got quiz questions. Read the questions. Can you answer them? Answer them on your own. And once you've answered them, scroll down and read the answer key and see if your answers lined up with what was there. It's not a quiz for grading, it's a quiz for you to see if you actually know things. There are no jobs out in the real world where all you do is take multiple choice tests. The function of education is to prepare you for things out into the real world. So we want to make sure we're actually understanding things. Essay format questions. Discuss the fundamental differences in the philosophical underpinnings and research goals of quantitative and qualitative research methodologies. How do these differences manifest in their approaches to data collection and analysis? If you say, well, I want to make sure they get that right, or they've been struggling with that, we could take this question back to ChatGPT and create a reading assignment for that as well if we wanted. More importantly, if we zoom back down, we can create a briefing document, a frequently asked questions guide, and even a timeline if your document has timelines in it. I'm going to refresh my middle chat, and I'm going to take a moment and click Mind Map as well. So these are all things that were created. Now the briefing document is different. What does the briefing document cover? I'm so glad you asked. Here, we go into the date of this thing, we go into what it's about, we get an executive summary of it. Here's the main themes and important ideas. Imagine how much more quickly you can familiarize yourself with something that's difficult if you could go in and get what the core information is like this. So you've got the document, you read it, you go in here and say, give me a briefing, and you can go through and go, oh, here's the distinctions. Oh, here's the pros and cons of each, etc. There's a mind map, which takes these ideas from the document and breaks them out. Our topic is quantitative versus qualitative, and in quantitative, it can break out into this one focuses on measurement, numeric data, hypothesis testing, example, pros and limitations. And those can be broken out further as needed according to what was written in the first place. So this can help not only you get a deeper understanding of new journal research, new literature that's been published, but can help your students get a deeper understanding of what you're trying to teach them. Now, I think that's very interesting, but let's go to the thing I really love. Here is the audio overview. What this is going to do is take the document that we pasted over here and create an NPR-style podcast with two people discussing what that was.
Deep dive. You've shared some really interesting material with us, all focused on understanding quantitative and qualitative research. It can feel a bit like learning a whole new language sometimes, can't it?
It really can. Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to get into in this deep dive. Our goal isn't just, simple definitions. We want to unpack the core differences, look at what each approach is really good at, and maybe where it falls a bit short.
Make their purpose clearer for everyone.
Exactly. Make it.
First thing I want you to notice, they're not reading the document to you. They're actually going to talk about it. I'm going to skip ahead. This one's about 10 minutes. Let's go in 3 minutes.
Plus, it's great for spotting broad patterns or trends.
But
Yeah.
there are always buts, aren't there? What are the limitations, the downsides?
Definitely. A key one is that focusing only on numbers can mean you miss the context, the why behind the numbers.
So in the tutoring example, you'd know scores went up, maybe, but not why the tutoring worked or what the students actually...
It might not be true for all first-gen students everywhere.
Right, that makes sense.
Also, analyzing all that rich text data, interview transcripts.
And one thing you'll notice here, your document may be 20 pages long. You might have 20 different documents you loaded in. It will still create a podcast that is typically 15 minutes or less in general and discuss that material for you. If I delete this and tell it generate again, it gives me a completely different one. The point is, number one, there are no people talking. That was all computer generated. It read our document and decided what these two people would sound like discussing it and giving an overview and a deep dive of what the document is saying. So you can listen to this while you're out on a jog. You can listen to it while you're driving, and then if you need to go back and read the document again, you can. So you have overviews, study guides, and even an audio piece that you can use. These different tools can be then used to create material that you put into your course. If you find midway through your course your students are struggling with a particular thing, let's say during your assessments, we notice that one of the problems they're struggling with is they don't really understand mixed methods. They think everything has to be qualitative or quantitative. So this is a thing they're having trouble with. I can take that question, hop back to ChatGPT, and say, my students are having trouble with the concept and application of mixed methods. Can you, and I'm going to paste what the question was, define mixed methods research and explain why why a researcher might choose this approach. But I'm going to say, please explain it like I'm an undergraduate student. As an undergraduate, where it starts with is, mixed methods research is a way of doing research that combines both quantitative numbers and statistics and qualitative words and story approaches in a single study. Instead of just picking one method like surveys or interviews, a mixed method researcher uses both. Why? Because using both can give a fuller and more complete understanding. I'm going to say, I'm not going to go read all that right now. See, it actually gave me a lot of useful information. I'm just going to say, thank you. Now please explain it as though I were a master's level student. Here's a more advanced explanation. Mixed methods research is an approach that involves systematic integration of both quantitative and qualitative data within a single study or program of inquiry. Do you see how the language changed? How the tone changed? Because your bachelor student isn't going to have the same level of understanding as your master's student. The expectations are different. And it gave me that. I'm going to say not bad. Can you please explain it at a doctoral level? Mixed methods research, MMR, is a methodical approach that combines both quantitative and qualitative data collection and analysis strategies within a single study or research program. At its core, mixed methods is not merely just a juxtaposition of numbers and narratives, rather it's a deliberate methodological integration that allows researchers to address complex research questions through complementarity, triangulation, expansion, development, initiation. And notice each of these is still giving me a full page or two of information at that level. Having all three of those, the undergrad, the master's, and the graduate level, means in your course, if you're having problems and you need to do remediation, you need to teach the students, you can put each of these in there, and according to how they performed in this area of assessment, release the one that's most appropriate to your students. Having your curriculum being able to be personalized to the individual and what they need helps them be more successful. Coursework stops being torture for the student, stops being an obstacle course, and becomes a journey and adventure for them to actually learn how to do things that they didn't know before they got to your class. So, that's 25 minutes. I want to leave time for questions. This is how I tend to use ChatGPT and NotebookLM. I will take these files, I'll make a Word file or two out of these, download those so everyone has access to them, and you can see the prompts, you can see what came out of it. Thank y'all for y'all's time. I don't want to eat up any more time with the presentation because now comes my favorite part of this, which is playtime.